St. John Eudes is a saint that probably is unfamiliar. He was ordained a priest 400 years ago in France, a priest of the oratory. And so he was a person who delved into study and preaching. And eventually he became a missionary preacher. He went around to different parishes to lead missions, retreats. And one day someone said to him, "Aren't you unsatisfied just staying in the church and preaching? What about the street people? What about the women who are forced into prostitution? What about the hungry people?" And so then his ministry changed. He started a religious order to honor the Immaculate Heart of Mary and the Sacred Heart of Jesus. And the mission was to go into the streets and help the women to be free from those terrible human trafficking situations and to be able to live a life of virtue. St. John Eudes continued for many years in that ministry. Why did he do it? Well, we hear the gospel. Love God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. The proof that we love God means that we love our neighbor. And he looked at these people who were marginalized and looked down upon and trodden down, and he realized that his love for God would be expressed in serving them. And so we can be inspired by St. John Eudes. We can reflect, do I love God with all my heart, all my soul, all my strength, all my mind? How do I love my neighbor? So in his day, probably people shied away from trying to do anything with the poor, the prostitutes, those in the street, the homeless. But he went straight forward into that ministry. And today we have the challenge here in our own time, human trafficking, the homeless. Downtown at St. Mary Mercy Church is the Red Door. The Red Door offers lunch to hundreds of people every day. Beautiful volunteers work there with great devotion to prepare this lunch, which is given in a very personal and loving way to each individual person. The Red Door also provides clothing. So we, as church, respond to this command of Jesus. Love your neighbor as yourself. The person who is homeless is our neighbor. How do we respond? And so as we go forth from this Mass today, let's ask ourselves, how can I love my neighbor a little more? How can I help in some way at the Red Door or some other ministry that reaches out to help those in need?